Hello, friend, and welcome to Daily Treasure, a devotional podcast by Sharon Betters, produced by Mark Inc. Ministries. Today's devotional is called Come to the Garden. Today's treasure. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. Whenever I heard the old hymn, In the Garden, my thoughts immediately travel back in time to the many Sunday morning and evening services spent in our little church. Memories of sitting through long sermons, timing the pastor's prayers, and rubbing my grandmother's soft skin along with the fun of the turtle races held every year during Vacation Bible School flood my mind. I know every word of this sweet hymn because we sang it so many times. This week's guest writer, Patsy Kuipers, also known as the Gardening Grammy, reminds me of this hymn as well. Through her love of all things gardening, Patsy helps open our eyes to treasures planted in the dirt, often hidden unless we are looking for them. Widowed at age 38, she was blessed to be gainfully employed for all the years she spent raising two daughters on her own. When the corporation she worked for just over 30 years eliminated her job, she returned to school to study horticulture, a passion born of caring for the garden her husband left as part of his legacy. Patsy is Grammy to three young but enthusiastic garden helpers. She enjoys teaching them about plants and the one who created them. Patsy started her blog, Back to the Garden, to tell others of God's great love and faithfulness. In 2020, she realized a long-time dream when she compiled some of the lessons she's learned in her garden into a book called Be Still, Quiet Moments with God in My Garden. We are so grateful to welcome Patsy as a regular Daily Treasure guest writer. On Saturday, Patsy encourages us to recognize how the seasons reflect our own spiritual journeys. She writes, I once attended a presentation where the speaker began with, Summer, fall, and winter are seasons. Spring is a miracle. I've thought about her comment every spring since. Early warm spells begin to nudge plants from their wintry slumber. In January here in the South, witch hazel, Lenten roses, and paperbush start a floral parade that continues for multiple weeks as plants take turns in the spotlight. Trees, flowers, and baby birds all embody the joyful message of rebirth, which in turn stimulates hope and rejuvenation in us. But spring gives way to summer, and tender ephemerals disappear for another year as heat-loving specimens flourish. Summer annuals and perennials bloom, then set and disperse their seeds before beginning their decline. Fall arrives, crops are ripe for harvest, the fruit of spring planting and summer tending. Soon daylight hours decrease, as does the temperature, and autumnal leaves create a riotous display of color. One last hurrah before they let go and blanket the ground for the winter. Ah, winter! Based on my observations, I've concluded it is the most misunderstood, underappreciated season, at least from a gardening standpoint. Those unfamiliar with the ways of plants scan the leafless, apparently lifeless landscape and pronounce, "Everything's dead." I used to think that too, but my horticulture studies dissuaded me from that notion. For instance, some seeds won't germinate without scarification. Some bulbs won't bloom without adequate chill time. And many plants depend on the decreased daylight and increased darkness that accompany winter to flower at the appropriate time. My newfound knowledge has given me a different perspective. Now when I contemplate winter vistas, I prefer to think of the plants as resting while building reserves for the next season of fruitfulness. Sometimes I think it would be nice to live in a constant state of springtime, emotionally and spiritually speaking, productive, energetic, surrounded by resurgent, hope-producing, joy-filled circumstances. But like the plants, God knows we need all the seasons to produce abundant fruit and to become more like Jesus. We need to slow down and be still, to rest and draw near to God in all seasons. But we're most likely to do so during the winter of our souls, times of loss and suffering. For it's then we realize our utter reliance upon God, a dependence present every moment, but most evident when we come to the end of our supposed self-sufficiency. My own winters have convinced me of the veracity of Elizabeth Elliot's declaration. The deepest things that I have learned in my own life have come from the deepest suffering. And out of the deepest waters and the hottest fires have come the deepest things that I know about God. Yet, like the trees and flowers, I've emerged able to bear more fruit because I know my Father and His ways more intimately. Signs of life return as our winter gives way to another cycle of spring planting, summer tending, and fall harvesting, a cycle that will continue in us and the natural world until our final winter. Our bodies will rest in the ground, waiting for reunion with our souls when we're called home, glorified, and welcomed into the joy of eternal spring. Let's take the time to go into the garden with Patsy and listen carefully for the voice of Jesus. In the garden, I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And He walks with me, and He talks with me, and He tells me I am His own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. That's by Charles A. Miles, 1913. I am so happy to welcome back Patsy to Daily Treasure.
Hey friends, I'm so glad that you have joined us for this second week of our What She Said series. It's always such a gift to me to have writers offer their work for you, to encourage you and to give you a taste of the scriptures, and hopefully these devotionals will encourage you to dig deeper into God's Word. But it's our prayer that they will encourage you to walk by faith wherever God has placed you. Many of you have sent us notes and comments and encouraged us that the devotionals come at just the right time. Or you might share how you share them with a friend, and you and your friend go for walks every morning and you talk about the devotional. We're just so grateful to hear these notes, and we hope that you will go to helpandhopenow.org and leave a comment. And when you do, we are going to put you in a drawing, and 3 of you are going to receive a gift called our Grow in Grace mug, a Grow in Grace mug. So make sure you go to helpandhopenow.org where you can leave your comment. And when you're there, I hope that you will check out our Treasures of Hope non-event event. This is our way of saying that we are raising funds. Instead of a spring event, we are having a non-event so that every dollar that is raised will be spent on production of resources that help turn hearts toward Jesus rather than on the expenses of an event. We're not saying we're never going to have another event. In fact, next year we're going to have a 30th anniversary celebration. But for this year, we felt compelled to make this, as I said, a non-event event. Our goal is to raise $100,000 between now and the end of October. And the reason we need to raise these funds is because we are expanding by faith the footprint of Mark Inc. We are doubling the production of our resources for the Help and Hope podcast and for Ask Dr. Betters, and we are adding some support staff to help us accomplish these goals. We are so excited about the vision God has given us for the future of Mark Inc., and we are so eager to see how He provides for the funds that are needed to accomplish these goals. So would you join us in prayer as we go on this faith-based venture? Because I know it's a lot of money, but God has already given it to those that He has designated to be part of the Mark Inc. family, the supporters who make it possible for us to continue to offer the help and hope of the gospel to hurting people. So go to helpandhopenow.org, check out the Treasures of Hope non-event event page where you can safely give, and also you can check out the possibility of a legacy gift. I'm Sharon Betters. Thanks so much for joining us, and I look forward to being with you tomorrow.